I am Jason Abraham, the Shadow Teacher 33, and I did a video where I talk about a good friend of mine who is struggling right now, suffering a little bit with familiar dynamics in relationships. And I talked about, in a previous video, I talked about Vicki Hamilton's book, or I referenced it somewhat, Appetite for Dysfunction, and Atomic Habits, the book I referenced as well in there, this other video I'm referring to, and how humans tend to model paradigms from status figures. The way a status figure behaves, we tend to imitate that. And the dynamics don't always lead to the same success in our lives, even though we believe they will. And when we repeat the same behaviors over and over again based off of this paradigm that seems to work in a far-off land, but yet we're continuing to suffer, and we tell ourselves the story, things should be another way. Essentially, we're in this loop where we believe something should be a certain way, but yet we continue to beget more suffering because it's not working out that way in our world. And when I see something like this, what I now see this as a failed paradigm, at least for me. If I'm continuing to live out the same kind of story, same kind of karma in my life, and I believe something should be different, but yet I'm continuing to live things out the same way, the same model in my mind, and get the same result, and this result that's causing where the emotional response is suffering, there's something wrong with that paradigm. And what this is a message for me is that I need to form a new paradigm that's going to be the guiding system of my actions. Now, it sounds nice and simple, but easier said than done. I believe that our souls bring in certain patterns into this world. We come in with both strengths and gifts and curses as well, and it's our work, our soul contract, to work through some of this karma, to bring our gifts to the world, and then work through our suffering, which sometimes plays out in this type of repetitive behavior, these repetitive themes. And ultimately, the Vicki Hamilton book is a story of this. It's someone who is a muse who gives her soul to different artists, but is ultimately used and discarded as they move on to bigger and better things. But eventually she finds her way. She finds her gifts, and she finds peace within herself and gets some recognition. She's looked at as an icon in the music scene now from the perspective as a talent scout, as someone who's got just this special gift of finding talent and nurturing talent. And it's a beautiful gift. And finally, it seems like she's getting some credit for that. So when we find our gift, like our failed paradigm isn't always bad. There's usually like there's something in it that has our gift, just maybe not the most appropriate action for our gift, not the most fruitful application of our gifts. So if we can dig into that and figure out what part of this is my gift and how am I applying it in a way that's caused me suffering, and could I apply this gift differently, then maybe I can get a different result. And then the other part of the paradigm, again, when we continue to suffer, some of this is beliefs that we have taken on from social structures. It's sort of what I mentioned before, like when we see status figures, celebrities, people who dominate the media behaving a certain way and getting celebrated and rewarded for it, but yet it doesn't work out that way for us. This is an external belief that's imposed on us, but we have to work at discarding and reframing. The tougher beliefs are the beliefs we've taken on from our own trauma, whether it be trauma that we've experienced in this lifetime or trauma from a previous life. And again, these are stories that we've told ourselves to protect us from danger, that served us at a certain time in our life, but no longer serve us, but yet we continue to live out this theme and create a narrative of suffering from a failed paradigm. And so doing the shadow work, digging into ourselves, asking whenever something is not working the way we want it to, and we say, this should work out, I should get this, I should get that, I should be that, but I'm not. We can only control what we play in that. And so there's always some examination that I've found that I've done on myself, and I found myself in this loop where I have to say, okay, what am I contributing to this? What have I contributed that's just like all the other times I've done the same thing and gotten the same miserable result? And it's only then when we can see our contribution that we have a choice. We can choose to continue, or we could just simply say, okay, this is familiar, but it's not working. I'm just going to try something different next time there's a stimulus that brings this type of crisis into my life. I'm going to try a different action, different response. And then when we start to use a different response, when we have that level of awareness, then we can write a different story, a story that has a new possibility of a new outcome, a new ending. And then we can keep going down the line. Again, it's all about possibility. It's not about guarantee. But if we do something differently, that's the only thing that we have that's going to possibly move us down a road of a different possible outcome, moving us off this road of suffering. So I'm going to end this video and invite you to reflect, as I do on my other videos. Are you finding yourself in loops of suffering? Do you find the language of saying the word should, this should be this way, I should be this way, that should be that way, whatever, is that showing up for you? And I invite you to look at this as an invitation to reflect on yourself, to reflect on your paradigm, on your model that's modeling your thinking and your behavior, and reflect on maybe this is not a good paradigm for me, and maybe I need to start looking into some different beliefs and exploring some different actions. With that being said, I'm going to end this transmission. Be strong, be well, and I will see you on the other side.